Do you remember the moments when you had or tried something new and couldn't get enough of it and wanted more? Whether it's food, a movie, or anything else that's consumable. The same we have in gaming. In certain story games that have potential for a sequel, we look forward to a second part. In multiplayer games, we want more content like maps, guns, game modes, or other additional items. Lots of companies saw the potential of adding more content, so they introduced expansion packs that you could buy as an extra package for 10 or 15 bucks. Thanks to Fortnite, we got another alternative with a so-called Season Pass with Lifeservice. Similar to the expansion packs, you could get new stuff, but for free, except for cosmetics like character and gun skins. Since 2018, many companies have adopted the Season Pass version as it comes with many advantages for casual players and more profit for the companies. Now after 6 years, a lot of people couldn't disagree more. With the latest titles that have been released in the last couple of years, many players have been very disappointed, lost trust, and are calling for the return of the DLC system. Despite having already a system that provides everyone with new content, and that for free. The big question is now, what is actually better, DLC or live service? Let's find out together. My name is Object and welcome to a new video. For your information, me as a shooter fan, I'm only taking games as an example I spent time with. Multiplayer games that I played myself or watched a lot on YouTube or other platforms. In my case, it's heavily focused on COD and Battlefield, but I think that shouldn't be a big deal, because the arguments probably refer to all type of multiplayer games that feature additional content. Just wanted to let you know. Anyway, let's get started. If we would answer this question in theory, we all would probably agree that the live service is better than the DLCs. I mean, come on. Every player gets everything for free at the same time. And if you're super satisfied with the content, you might even buy skins for a couple of bucks to support the devs. And if you don't, you wouldn't have spent any money for it. Now with the DLC though, you're charged to put money on the table in order to get the new stuff. Doesn't sound too lucrative, does it? What if most of the new content is absolutely trash, or after purchasing it, you realize the content just doesn't fit to your preferences? And if you decide not to buy it, what almost everyone would do at the beginning, the developers would have put so much work for nothing. It would be wasted resources. So live service it is. But in practice, there must be some differences that speak for the DLCs. Otherwise we wouldn't be here. Let's see what's wrong with the live service first. As a comparison between two games from the same developer, I'm gonna use Battlefield 1 and 5 as an example. Battlefield 5 was the next title, right after Battlefield 1, which came with the live service for the first time in Battlefield history. Battlefield 5 had a lot of trouble before it even released. The announcement trailer is one of, if not the most disliked Battlefield trailer in history. And all that because of how the devs presented the setting of Battlefield 5, which was World War II, a dark and gritty time of humankind where many soldiers lost their lives on the battlefield. And this is what they showed us. I swear I'm not bullshitting you, but when I saw the trailer for the very first time, I probably had the longest brain lag in my entire life. I just couldn't figure out what the game was about. When the Tiger tank appeared on the screen, I had a flinch of an idea that it might be World War II, but I still couldn't and didn't want to believe it. And that's one of the two greatest problems we have with the live service today. When we get new content like maps, guns and vehicles for free, DICE needs to have a way to gain money. Otherwise they would have done all that work for free. And we all know nobody works for free. So therefore, they came up with crazy and unrealistic skins which were clearly inspired by Fortnite skins. But those skins did not fit to the setting at all, which is why many people didn't even buy the game in the first place. The skins completely killed the immersion and the identity of a World War II game. In the end, we had free new content, but at the cost of a smaller player base. Talking about content, that's the second point. The amount of additional stuff has also some differences between these two games. Battlefield 1 got 2 DLCs within a year. They Shall Not Pass, with 6 maps, quite some guns and a new tank, and In the Name of the Tsar, that featured again 6 maps, some guns and a new tank as well. Now in comparison, Battlefield 5 looks a bit disappointing, with only 9 maps, whereas 4 of them are only for infantry, 2 are way too big and almost unplayable, and only 3 are decent. Yeah, we had Firestorm as well, which took a lot of resources, but still wasn't interesting for the majority as it wasn't the right audience for a Battle Royale. And now it's even worse with Battlefield 2042, which had a live service as well. It only came with 1 map, I think 3 guns, 2 choppers and 1 specialist. In 1 year. That's next level disappointing. So it looks like that DLCs are definitely better than a live service. Is what you'd like to hear, but I'm very sorry for everyone who expected the DLCs to be a better solution for additional content, but it ain't. And I'm gonna tell you why, and the more I speak, the better you'll understand. Now, first of all, don't get me wrong. The live service of Battlefield 5 was bad, and Battlefield 2042 was terrible. I'm not happy about any of these. But the problem of these games are not the live service. It's the development team and their decisions. If we first take a look at the immersion problem, it's only because of how the skins look like. A live service does not mean that the skins need to look crazy and ridiculously strange. Look at Hell Let Loose, for example. They sell bundles with skins where the characters actually fit to the theme. So it is possible to sell skins and earn decent money without destroying the immersion of the game. The only reason why COD and Battlefield are exaggerating with their skins is because of the mainstream audience. The need to be liked by everyone. The milsim lovers, the COD kids, you name it. And yes, I'm gonna say it, a live service has no effect on the amount of additional content. And I think this comment is gonna trigger the most of you. But listen, many of you probably assume that the developers only launch like 70% of the actual content they produced right on release and give the rest throughout the live service. And I'm not doubting you, they're doing that to 1000%. I mean, COD gave us a perfect example to this topic with MW2. For those of you who played MW2, do you remember that one map in a beta? I think it was called Museum, but I ain't too sure. The map was okay, as I remember. It had this special yellow tone. Anyway, this map was removed on release and was introduced as a new map with Season 2, if I'm not mistaken. The same map we played half a year ago in the beta, but this time it even was in a worse state. That's an ultimate proof that actual content for release is being held back to fill the live service or even prepare for the next game. I mean, Activision even sold the second year content of MW2, which was supposed to be in the live service, as a full price title with MW3. And I'm sorry, but you can't blame the live service for a mess that Activision caused himself. I mean, if you already presume that you are getting the stuff you paid for, so the remaining 30% after some time, but you don't know when and you clearly have no guarantee that you're gonna get the remaining 30%, then why the hell are you convinced to buy the product in the first place? Listen, you're supposed to see the live service as additional content and not part of the full price that you purchased at the beginning. That's the wrong mindset, and the reason why many are upset about the live service. That's pretty dangerous, cause that means you trust a company to give you stuff you've never seen before. A customer in a restaurant, for example, would never trust a dinner which might have stuff on a table he doesn't like or has allergies to specific ingredients. So if you're disappointed with the content in the live service, it's because of your wrong expectations and your trust towards the company and not because of the system itself. Keep that in mind, guys. If you buy something, put your focus on only what you'll get right from the beginning. The rest is going to be unpredictable. So don't assume that everyone is gonna keep his word, especially not in an industry that's so fucking greedy. Especially not an industry that makes more profit every year than the movie and music industry combined. Besides that, live service or DLC doesn't matter anymore at this point with these companies. I mean, for example, what if Season 2 and that museum map came as a DLC bundle and not as a part of a live service? It means you would have bought the content instead of getting it for free. Because even with DLCs, the developers still bring the rest of the 30% anyway as additional content. So the systems have no effect on the amount of extra content. It's the company's greed and their decisions to use the live service in order to cover their own mistakes and incompetence that make the live service look bad. And if we from now on swap to DLCs for everyone who still can't comprehend what I talked about, you're gonna be heavily disappointed. Keep in mind that the devs and their ambitions changed in the last 10 years, which means the content in a DLC today costs more and have actually less content compared to a 2017 DLC. For example, COD World War II. I bought all DLCs for COD World War II, so I spent $60 for all DLCs and $70 for the game itself. So I spent $130 in total for COD World War II. A DLC in World War II came with 3 6v6 multiplayer maps, 1 war mode map and 1 zombies map that cost you $15. Today, you'd probably get a DLC bundle with 6 multiplayer maps, whereas 3 of them are like Piccadilly, Red Star, Santa Sena Border Crossing, cause today's developers forgot how to make good maps. One is probably a remake or a part of the Warzone map, and the other 2 are different shipment versions. And if we have skin bundles that cost around $30 these days, you can expect such a DLC not to cost less than $30. So you would have spent $80 for the game itself, plus $120 for 4 DLCs in total, which would make $200. I'm sorry, but that's the hard reality today. Or Battlefield, for example. I mean, DICE can't allow themselves to ask for a huge price for a DLC bundle unlike COD, but the bundles would instead consist of 1 or maybe only 2 maps. Would you still buy a DLC? Spend extra $20 for 2042 and only get, what was it, Contact as a new map? I heavily doubt it. The only reason why many think more positive about the DLCs is because of the miserable situation of today's games, where many tend to blame the live service, and because of the nostalgic memories as the DLCs were used back in the days when games were made by dedication and love. To summarize everything again, the majority of gaming companies cannot handle a decent live service due to their own greediness. We have some exceptions, of course, we always have exceptions, like Helldivers, for example, that showed everyone how a good live service looks like. But bringing back the DLCs wouldn't work anyway. There's no reason why anything would change about the amount of content. The only thing that would change is how to get the new stuff, which is a paywall, and the immersion might remain in the game, but that's questionable, since skins have become one of the greatest income sources today. With today's in-game system like engaged optimized matchmaking, buying or not buying a DLC might have a worse effect on your matchmaking as well. And on top of that, DLCs split the community, which would make playing together with friends even harder. So the live services today aren't good, and the DLCs wouldn't change anything to the better. But if many companies put less focus on profit and try to care about the satisfaction of their player base, instead of squeezing out their money, I think we would still prefer a live service. A live service that's free for everyone, that won't split the community with cheap and fitting microtransactions that don't ruin the immersion and seriousness of a game, and that's filled with enough content and a good pacing which keeps the game alive. How a good live service in detail from my point of view would look like in a Battlefield game is coming soon on my channel. I've made 2 parts about how my perfect Battlefield would look like, so if you're interested, you're free to check it out. Now that being said, if you enjoyed the video and like to watch content about gaming and shooters, don't forget to like and subscribe. I thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.